Thank you so much for joining us today. We're diving into everyone's favorite topic today, a topic that we are very familiar with, that we've presented on in many different ways, the project chaos that arises when time, cost, and capacity are out of alignment. You know, the missed deadlines, the budget black holes, and the teams who are somehow doing 140% of their capacity while being told to stay agile. All the fun stuff organizations don't realize is quietly draining time, money, and sanity. We're going to show you how Tempo's project collection, made up of timesheets, capacity planner, and financial manager, plus a dash of structure, because why not make things even more understandable, takes all of that chaos and turns it into something you can actually manage. And it does it right inside Jira, where the work already lives. We'll then launch a demo so you can see exactly how these tools operate on their own and how they snap together into an integrated system instead of yet another software Frankenstack. Before we kick this webinar into gear, I'd love to get to know our absolutely stunning audience a bit better, so let's start things off with our first poll. So we want to know how you currently track project costs in Jira, and costs can mean a lot of different things. In our case, it can mean time, it can mean people or resources, or it can mean just money in general. They're all linked together, and they all have to be in alignment for to have the best visibility in how your projects are being managed within Jira. All right. With respect to everybody's time, I'll end the poll. Share results. So, how do you currently track projects in Jira? Looks like a good about 26% don't currently. 40% use spreadsheets, tried and true. Some are using other tools, some are using manual estimates, and some don't track costs. Well, thank you all for being here. Hopefully we can learn something about how to better manage these costs within Jira. Now, I'd like to formally introduce myself. My name is Chris Chapelier. Everybody calls me Chappy, and I'm one of the senior product marketing managers here at Tempo. And with me, we have giving the demo today will be Siku Hammond, our onboarding specialist. Now, here's what we'll cover today. First, we'll talk about the cost of chaos that occurs when projects lack that connected data between uh, time, capacity, and money. Then we'll look at the disconnect in Jira and how that creates blind spots. And from there, I'll formally introduce the project collection made up of timesheets, capacity planner, and financial manager, and call out the biggest gap we see aligning plans with actuals. And after that, we'll go into our demo, which will show how these interconnected tools make Jira the best that it can be. Now, across industries, the fallout from project chaos isn't exactly subtle. In services organizations, missed deadlines start piling up, and nothing strengthens the client relationship quite like delivering things late and explaining it with a straight face. In product organizations, on the other hand, budgets explode, timelines slip, and suddenly the critical initiatives are looking more like critical if we can still afford them. And when leaders don't have visibility into time, cost, or resources, they get to make decisions reactively, otherwise known as guessing with confidence. This is the starting point many of you probably know all too well, which makes it the perfect setup for our second poll question about the challenges you're dealing with right now with managing projects. So I'm going to launch our second poll. So currently, what is your biggest challenge today in managing projects? Could be lack of accurate time data, difficulty balancing team capacity, visibility into budgets and actuals, disconnected tools, or maybe you're not experiencing any challenges currently. I'd like to know. And share results. So what's your biggest challenge today in managing projects? It looks like we're all across the board here. Time, capacity, budgets versus actuals, disconnected tools, all the things that the project collection solves. So let's keep going. Now, Jira may be the place where all the work lives, but let's be honest, it doesn't always magically connect the dots between time, cost, and capacity. So teams end up patching the gaps with spreadsheets or whatever finance tool is floating around that week. Let's take a classic example. A professional services team logs all their hours in Jira, then exports everything into Excel, and then patiently waits for finance to perform month-end reconciliation like it's some sort of ritual. And by the time leaders finally get the numbers, the month is over, the damage is done, and any chance to course correct has already left the building. Now, the real headache isn't the planning, it's the yawning gap between what you thought would happen and what actually does. You map out 400 hours for a project, feeling pretty confident. And then one day you look up and discover 500 hours have magically vanished into it. At that point, the budget isn't just gone, it's a distant memory. But with the project collection, you actually see time, cost, and capacity as they happen in real time, which means you can adjust before everything goes off the rails, not after you're writing the postmortem. Now, the project collection brings timesheets, capacity planner, and financial manager together inside Jira, finally getting all your data to act like it belongs in the same ecosystem. Timesheets captures actual time reliably, so you're not piecing together hours from memory, Slack messages, and whatever someone scribbled on a sticky note. Capacity Planner makes sure the right people or teams are available when you need them, because apparently projects work better when you're not scheduling imaginary capacity. Now, Financial Manager ties costs and budgets directly to the work being done, so you can see in real time whether you're funding progress or just burning money creatively. And Structure steps in to give you another view, a customizable hierarchical map of how all this data fits together, instead of the usual game of click around Jira and hope you find it. Put it all together and you get a connected real-time picture of your projects without ever leaving Jira. No swivel chairing, no duct tape spreadsheets, no detective work. Now I could keep talking about how great the combination is, but why just tell you when we can show you? Here is Siku showing a demo of these tools in action to prove I'm not exaggerating.
All right. All right. Thanks, Shappy. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining today's webinar. I'm really excited to be walking you through this demo for Project Chaos. Now, if you're here, chances are you've probably dealt with at least one of these headaches, that time isn't tracked consistently, so you don't know, so you don't actually know what's happening in your projects. Resources are planned on one spreadsheet, budgets are tracked on another spreadsheet, and there's always a gap in between the two. Sometimes you're going to have finances looking at numbers weeks later that don't actually match what project managers are seeing. If that sounds familiar, that's exactly the chaos that we're here to solve. So I'm going to walk you through Capacity Planner, Timesheets, and Financial Manager and how they connect together. And then I'll show you how that all can roll up into Structure. So what you're seeing here is Capacity Planner at the team view. Each row represents a team. We'll see here my teams here, Classic Rock, Country Cowboys, all the different teams that we've had set up here. But for you, it'll probably look more like the QA team, the engineering team, the design team. And already you can see their total capacity in hours, and this isn't made up data. This is live data from Jira, directly from Jira. So it's always grounded in real work. And we can also highlight something really important, the stoplight system that you see here. Each cell is color coded. The green means the team or the team here, because we're in the team view, that they're working at capacity. They're not over, they're not under. They're exactly where we want them to be most of the time. And the yellow, as you can see here in Country Cowboys, that they are under capacity. They've got available hours. This can be a good thing if it's intentional, like leaving room for unplanned work, or it can even be a signal that resources aren't being fully utilized. If we click into that capacity, we can see that capacity breakdown of their total capacity and how much remaining availability they have left. Now, this view can be broken down into weeks, if you want to plan out the weeks level, or months, or even quarters. And you'll still get that stoplight feature there. We'll go back down to weeks. This stoplight system is one of the simplest but most powerful visuals in Capacity Planner. You don't have to dig into numbers to see the risk. You know at a glance which teams are balanced, underutilized, or stretched too thin. A lot of people use the stoplight system in leadership meetings because it tells their story instantly. No more searching through spreadsheets. Everyone can see the red, yellow, and green for themselves and agree on what may need to be adjusted. Now, if you're a project manager with 5 different projects in flight, you've got developers, um, analysts, QA testers, or a design team. Everyone's busy, but no one can tell you exactly who's working on what or whether your deadlines are realistic. You're managing through different spreadsheets, juggling Jira issues, and getting surprise delays because you don't know who's at risk for being over capacity. And if I click through some of these teams here, I can start to see the individual resources and what they're working on. So you have no surprises on what your team's working on and who's over capacity. And a lot of people find that really valuable. You'll see those individuals, exactly what they're working on, those smaller tasks or stories that they're working on. And you can finally see where their people are allocated across their projects. And a lot of people, a lot of customers I hear from say for the first time, they actually know when their team is overbooked before it's too late. And that right there is the value. And when we talk about capacity planner and building your plans, that's where everything starts, right? That's where everything starts with creating your plan. So if you wanted to create a plan for your engineering team, for a sprint for multiple weeks or multiple months. It's very simple to just click right in, create a plan for whichever team and connect that to your Jira epics or features or however you plan work on a big way. And it's very simple to just click in, connect it to an epic or feature, and plan that work for your team right there. And so some of our clients before using Capacity Planner felt like they were constantly firefighting. They had teams with 50 developers, but leadership always felt like we don't have enough people. But when they roll out Capacity Planner, you can realize it's not about the headcount, it's about the allocation and what your teams are actually doing. So at the team level, you can see which teams are over allocated, which teams have room, and you can easily start moving some of these pieces around um, to see, what can fit where. In quarter 3, we're in the green, we're good to go. Maybe we have lots more room to, you know, take this plan and move it here and see if that fits. And that'll immediately update for you, and your capacity will immediately update once you start shifting things around. So that's the beauty of Capacity Planner right there. You can easily see, do we have the capacity for this? Do we have the people for this? We often see Planner used to defend teams' workload against constant new requests. Before you might have leadership just piling on projects, and with Planner, your PMO could show exactly why adding a new initiative could cause delays elsewhere. Suddenly, leadership can start to respect the data, and the chaos of constant prioritization is gone. We've seen again and again that customers who succeed with Planner are the ones who make it a habit. Every new project gets checked in here first before anyone commits. And that's what calms that chaos. But to be honest, planning isn't just about one team. Planning rarely lives in a vacuum. It's about balancing across your entire portfolio. So if I plan my time for just this one team, I need to make sure it's balanced across all teams. So if Hard Rock here is way over capacity and we're burning them out completely, we can start moving things around to other teams and making sure that everyone is using their time correctly and instantly rebalancing that workload and moving things around seamlessly with just drag and drop. And that helps us see, you know, that helps us balance our work and not make it a headache to be like, okay, how, what, and this week we're good, but we're underutilized here. How can we squeeze in some more work? You can easily show that with just dragging and dropping that work and pushing that work. Here, it'll immediately update your capacity and you can see it instantly. So if I'm a project manager and I've set up my plan, I've assigned who's doing what and where, but here's where the collaboration happens. If I switch hats and I'm looking at this through a lens of a resource manager, I could instantly see stoplight indicators, the green meaning more balance. So whether you're a project manager or a resource manager, this same view, we're looking at the same scenario with different lenses, and it's going to make sense for everyone. And that's going to give you a quick health check that lets me have a proactive conversation with project managers before things spiral out of control. This is how project and resource managers stop working in silos. We're literally looking at the same plan with two different perspectives. And then if we want to look, so this is the team view here. If we want to look at it in just the resources, we can see each of our resources, each of our people, and what they're working on, and if they're under an overcapacity. Now, if I wanted to just look, and you can filter this out in many ways. That's also something really cool about Capacity Planner. If I just wanted to see, I need some developers for this new project, I can filter down to just looking at developers and see, which developers might have time to work on this new project. So that's something really useful and beautiful that you can do. You can use these filters to just look at a specific team, a specific role, a specific user, or you can filter by skills. And you can see here backend developer, copywriting, digital marketing. These are skills I can filter for and look for those specific people and plan time for them. Just simply drag and drop that time and select an issue you want them to work on. So it's really that simple. And in this team planning view, we can also do scenario planning, right? So that's why we have something really nifty here, the flex plans. So say you don't have a plan within Jira yet, but you have a big project coming up, you can make a flex plan. And these blue items here are flex plans, and you're able to move them and update the capacity of what would happen if I move this item into week 39. How does that affect my capacity? We're still in the green. So we're good to go if I now uh, link this to a real Jira epic or a real Jira issue, I can now see this works within this time frame. Let me go ahead and add it. So that's something really useful that a lot of people find useful to see, does this work? Are we going to have the capacity for this? How does this work in this week, in this quarter? You can immediately see uh, you can immediately see that update in your capacity. And that's the kind of one what if analysis you simply can't get in spreadsheets. Customers will tell us all the time that this is what gives them credibility when they push back on unrealistic timelines. Instead of saying, I feel like we can't do it, they say, here's the data that shows why we need to adjust priorities or staffing, or here's the data that proves that we can get this done because we do have the capacity. And you can see immediately which teams are contributing, how much capacity is committed with this capacity breakdown here, and what happens if we delay a sprint or shorten a sprint. So if I shorten this out, we can immediately see how that affects the capacity here and how they're underutilized, and they can take on, and they're still in the green for this week, so they can take on more more projects within this one. So it's immediately going to show you how that shift is going to change your project or your future. So Capacity Planner is your control tower. It's where you see capacity, balance workloads, and run scenarios that can prevent chaos before it even starts. And a lot of people love it because it gives them confidence in their planning conversations. But a plan without actuals is really just a theory. The real question is, did we execute as planned? And that's where timesheets comes in, and that's what we'll take a look at next. So I'm here, I'm just going to switch to the timesheets view. Go into, oh, before I go into timesheets, I do want to show some of the features with Capacity Planner, like seeing your planned time report. For all of the projects that you're working on, you can see how many hours you're spending on those specific projects or epics or issues, and you can filter that down by role as well. So that's another useful take you can easily see. Besides that beautiful team view, you can also see it in a spreadsheet if that's what something that you're used to. It'll give you that view as well. You can also go into a specific team and see their plan time and how much time they have available left. Each member, you can see how much time do they have available for each week or each month. Here I have it in weeks, but you can also look at it in months and quarters. Okay, so you can think of timesheets like a mirror you hold up against your plan. The plan says one thing, but what actually happened? Did the feature really take 2 weeks, or was it closer to 3 weeks? Did the team spend their time on the work you expected, or did unexpected issues eat up half of their week? Was the project delivered with the effort you forecasted, or did it balloon without anyone noticing? Timesheets gives you the actuals. Without them, you're kind of flying blind. You've got a beautiful plan, but no way to check if reality matched it. And the best part about that is when you have both Capacity Planner and timesheets working together, you can start to measure that variance. That's where you can say, here's what we planned, and here's what actually happened, and here's why that happened. Now, timesheets is going to be your foundation because at the end of the day, everything starts with time. If your data is messy, inconsistent, or incomplete, everything downstream, like your capacity planning, billing, forecasting, it all gets a little shaky. And to be honest, time tracking is never the part of anyone's job that they're most excited about. No engineer is going to wake up and say, I can't wait to log my hours today. But the reality is, without accurate time data, every other decision starts to unravel. You can't compare plan versus actual, you can't forecast accurately, and you can't control cost. With timesheets, users can log their time in the way that feels most natural to them. Some folks like logging their times right from their Jira issue view itself, which is the simplest way to log time right from this Jira issue. If I'm a developer and I just logged this story that I'm just working on, I just closed this story that I'm working on. It's really the simplest way to log time is right here. I can go into this tempo feature since tempo lives right in Jira, and I can log that time and say, I spent 3 hours working on this story today. Now, if you wanted to go to timesheets, you can click over this and just go right over to it, or I can log my time here and just be done. So I don't need to leave my workflow. I can click log time right here into the hours. I'm done. And that's the major key that we see for a lot of people with adoption, right? So it's less friction. It's more likely that your team to actually use it if it's not changing their workflow. And we've seen this over and over, customers who promote logging time right into Jira issue, and the user rate skyrockets when it's done like this. So it's really nice, really simple. You're not leaving your workflow. You're not doing anything new. You're not changing the wheel, right? You're not reinventing the wheel. You're just logging your time right here. You can also go into Tempo timesheets that lives in Jira, and you can log your time on the calendar view, or, if you like a list view better. I personally like the calendar view. And right here, I can see all of the recent issues in this sidebar here. It's collapsible, but I'm going to bring it out. And I can look at all of the recent issues that I was looking at. I can look at story 2 that I was just looking at on Jira, and I can drag and drop that and say, yep, I spent time on this, and just drag and drop and say, I spent this much time on this item today. Really easy peasy. And it feels supernatural to just drag and drop. I can look at all the work that's assigned to me or any of the favorite items in Jira. I don't have any here. And simply drag and drop them and create your time log. And you can also see here, I'll close this out. But yeah, so you can either click in, search your issues and log that time, or you can do that drag and drop. Super simple, super easy. And if I wanted to look at it as more of a timesheet view or a spreadsheet view, you can do that as well with this timesheet view. You can see your entire week laid out for you on a grid. And some people find that it's most familiar, especially if they're used to Excel. And you can log time across multiple projects and tasks super quickly. And if I forget to log a day, I can spot that instantly. Like, okay, I didn't log any time for the week. Let me go back in and update that. You'll see it immediately. You'll spot where you missed logging your work. And what makes timesheets really start to pay off, because once your team is logging consistently, you unlock powerful reporting. So let's look at some of the reports here. So once you start planning your time and your team starts actually logging their time with Tempo timesheets, you get to see reports like this: planned versus actual. Now, this is really powerful. You can run a report by project, and you can see exactly how many hours were logged, broken down by projects and assignee. That alone helps project managers answer the question, where did our time actually go? You can see exactly which projects you're working on, how much time was planned for this, and here you can see the variance, a 95.4% variance here. And you can see for this project, uh, actual time was 4 hours, and the planned time was almost 800. Um, that's usually unheard of, but yeah, you can, and once you have this data, you can start to really change your planning, and it's going to give you the data you need to start changing things within the way your systems work. And you can slice this data however you want to, by role, by time period, and you can finally stop fighting about estimates once you have this data. Instead of saying this should only take 40 hours, we can now show, well, last time it took us 65, and here's the breakdown. And that shifts that conversation from blame to learning based off the real data of this is what we spent time on, and this is how long it actually took us. So maybe we should plan for that next time. And one thing I also want to call out here is the accuracy, because time data is only as valuable as it is accurate. That's where the approval process really comes in. Let me show you that here. In approvals, with timesheets, project leads and managers can review and approve submitted time before it rolls up into those reports. That way, nothing slips through the cracks and everyone is in the loop, right? The result is not just a timesheet for compliance, but a reliable source of truth for capacity planning and financial reporting. Timesheets isn't about forcing people to track every minute of their day. It's about creating the visibility you need to keep projects under control, improve estimates, and ultimately build trust with leadership. We've seen customers succeed when they make it simple, tie it to their existing Jira workflows, and use that data to learn from. That's why timesheets is a perfect complement to Capacity Planner. Once one sets the plan, the other shows the actuals. And you can then take it one step further. So in Capacity Planner, where we set the plan and we made this plan, in timesheets, we can now check, okay, what did we actually do? What did we actually spend time on? We planned for this. This is what actually happened. Did we actually spend the 40 hours we assigned to this, or was it 50? Was it 60? And when you see the difference, that's your opportunity to get smarter. This is where planning and execution connect. The more cycles you run, the better your planning gets. And the exciting part, once you start combining timesheets data with a tool like Financial Manager, you're not just looking at hours, you can take it a step further and look at the cost. And you could answer the question every executive cares about: what did this project really cost us? And with that, we can switch over to, oh, okay. And before we get into Financial Manager, there's another important piece to the puzzle: tempo accounts. Accounts are a unique tempo feature that let you categorize work beyond just projects. You can attach them to your projects, but you can even take it a step further with tempo accounts. For example, you might use them to separate CapEx and OpEx, or tag work tied to a particular initiative or client. And yes, those accounts flow directly into Financial Manager. That means you can slice your financial data not by just project, but also by strategic categories, which is something a spreadsheet can't do, or most other tools. Here's where finance steps into the picture. So we'll open up a project and financial manager here. And this is where financial manager steps into the picture, because every hour that you've logged in timesheets isn't just effort, it translates into costs. And every hour planned in Capacity Planner, that becomes a projected cost and projected revenue. So when I open up Financial Manager, I can instantly compare the budget, actuals, and projections. So instead of finance building shadow spreadsheets, they're working off the same live data that project and resource managers are already using. Financial Manager will show you in real time whether you're under or over that budget as hours gets logged in timesheets and capacity plans shift in Capacity Planner. Because plans are going to shift, things are going to change as you see that you're over or under allocated, things are going to shift. But that data is always going to be live in Financial Manager updating. So together, these three are going to give you a complete view: timesheet showing you your actual time, Capacity Planner forecasting your time, and Financial Manager showing that financial impact. Financial Manager is where we take all that effort and turn it into actionable financial insights. Right now, we're looking at the overview of our project here. This is the page most financial leaders and executives will live in. Right here, you can immediately see the budget, actual costs, projected costs, actual revenue, and projected revenue. Now, this budget comes from what you've set here in Financial Manager. It's your agreed upon target. That actual cost is fed directly from timesheets because every hour logged has a cost rate associated with it. Projected cost, that's capacity planner stepping in. If you've allocated 200 times to a team for the next sprint, we can instantly see what that future cost is going to look like. The graph is also super visual. Each line represents those data points. So if I hover over it, I can see where my project is trending over time. So this nice little key that's here will tell you exactly what line means what. So it's very easy to use. It takes nothing to start using it because we're pulling in data from timesheets and capacity planner. You're only setting your scope once, and once you have it set up, it's going to track that for you over time for as long as you'd like it to. And now we've talked about the scope briefly. If I go over to the scope, this is where you can define what you want to track here. And you can define this by building a structure, or you can define this by several projects or several epics, whatever you want to track in Jira, you can start tracking that here in this scope. In this team tab, this is where we connect back to Capacity Planner. All the teams that you've been planning capacity for appear here with their cost rates. So when a team is over capacity in Planner, you can come here and instantly see the dollar impact of that over allocation. It helps answer questions like what's this team actually costing us? And is that in line with what we expected? It's not just people hours anymore, it's people hours tied to financial impact. We can see each of our team members here, the time they've spent, and how much that is costing us, and how much revenue it's bringing in, whether it's billable, how much remaining costs, remaining time, remaining revenue. So this is really valuable to see all that information in one single view. You can also set up your expenses of software licenses and CRM licenses, whatever you're spending on these projects, this project or several projects, you can set that up and start tracking that as well. In the approval tab, that this tab connects directly to timesheets. We talked about approvals before with timesheets. This approval tab gives you control over who signs off on financial data before it gets locked in. We talked about it with timesheets, same principle here. By enforcing approvals, you're going to guarantee that all time and cost data is being used by your financials, by your for your financials, and it's been validated by the right people or the right manager. That means finance doesn't have to second guess the numbers they're seeing. They know everything has been checked and approved. And we won't spend too much time on configuration. This is only set up once, but it's important to know that this is where you link Financial Manager to your scope, whether that's a Jira project or a structure. It's also where you set your cost rate, revenue rates, and approval workflows. So the way I like to think about it is configuration is the foundation. The other tabs are the house you live in day to day. The beauty of this is that finance doesn't have to chase down updates or run manual reports. They can see exactly where spend is tracking, where revenue is heading, and share that back with project and resource managers. It creates a loop. Project managers plan, resource managers balance, and the teams execute. And for finance reports, and You have your financial reports all on the same foundation of data. That's the real value of this project collection. Collaboration instead of handoffs in the dark. We're all using the same data together to show us different reports and different things that we need to see. So when you have all this together, financial manager isn't just a finance tool, it's a bridge that connects your project managers that can it's the bridge that connects what your project managers are planning in capacity planner, what your teams are executing in timesheets, and what your financial leaders need to report in dollars. And because you can use structure as your scope, that makes things super easy as well. You can build out the exact hierarchy you want to track in structure and pull that into financial manager. It means your entire organization is literally looking at the same projects through the same lens, whether you care about capacity, hours, or money. And we'll briefly talk about how to surface that all in structure. So if I pull up a structure here, switch over to structure. Yep. Okay. So structure is like your dashboard builder for everything we've just talked about. It lets you roll up data from timesheets, capacity planner, and financial manager in one view. Uh, for example, here I have I have my major projects, epics, and stories, and you can easily add tempo plan time. These are fully customizable. You can fully customize your structure to look like what's important to you. Here I've added tempo plan time, tempo log time, and the tempo teams and the tempo accounts. So, uh, so you can roll all of these assignee project. You can roll these up by assignee project, by client, and across your entire portfolio. Is going to eliminate silos. Instead of project managers looking at one report and finance looking at another, everyone's working from the same source of truth. This means more accurate billing, more confident forecasting, and smarter investment decisions. Structure is very flexible. If you're a project manager, you can drill down into task level details. A structure is where the magic essentially happens. Everyone sees the same source of truth by aligning time, capacity, and cost data in Jira. You move from reactive reporting to proactive management. This is where we see that it's dynamic, flexible, and makes reporting directly actionable. If you're a financial leader, you can stay at the portfolio level and just look at the bottom line. This is where everything really comes alive. It's one collection, one source of truth. So to bring it all together, we started with Capacity Planner, which helps you balance your workload and adapt to change. We looked at timesheets where time is captured right where the work happens, right in Jira where you can log that time. And then we took a look at Financial Manager, which ties time and capacity directly to cost and revenue. And finally, we unified it all in a structure where you can see it all in one location. So thank you all so much. I hope this gave you a clear picture on how project collection can help your team reduce risks, increase profitability, and improve operational accuracy.
And thank you, Siku. Now, as we've been talking about, the modules that we demoed today are part of our project collection. If you want to visit our YouTube channel, you find other webinars we've hosted that showcase the program and portfolio and strategy collections. Now, bundled together, each collection offers an integrated set of tools that are affordable, easy to adopt, and work natively in Jira. And for a limited time, discounts are available to qualified customers. If you're ready to schedule your personalized demo today, there's a QR code on the screen. And feel free to scan that. I'll give you all a few seconds. That'll take you to a link that you'll be able to set up a personalized demonstration of any of these collections that you're interested in, including the project collection, which we've talked about. Also, this deck will be sent to you in the follow-up email, so the QR code will be there as well as a link to our collection page within our website. And look forward to seeing you on the next one. Thank you so much.